Oh yes, guilty movie pleasure fans. Hopefully today, me and Jesse don't spend 30 minutes of our time on the first 5 minutes of the movie, because otherwise, we'll be out of time.
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk, we talk movies. And now, here's Popcorn Talk's Guilty Movie Pleasure.
I hope the
I
audience...
could feel you retreating from that intro, as you did it.
I hope the audience could hear you go, because you just burst out.
Yeah, Nas muted.
It's true, though. We spend, we've done several times where we're like, Act 1, and in the booth, Ryan's like, you got 4 minutes left. We're like, duh!
Yeah, well, that might happen today because I have 20 more minutes I want to do on cats.
You just couldn't get enough. Because Jellicles need more than one episode.
I rethought it, and I have some retractions. No.
Didn't somebody commented on our channel that all cats are Jellicles?
Yeah, that's wrong.
And then I was like, well, then why does she get inducted into being a Jellicle?
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about it anymore.
All right, let's move.
Oh,
let's move
God.
forward.
I literally went home to my wife after that and was like, I experienced something no one needs to. And it was cats. Anyways, we're back with a non-cats movie. I'm your host, Ben Begley, and with me as always,
Jesse McIntosh.
And today we are covering Out of Time, the Denzel Washington film from, I believe, 2003, but this is I rented it from the library, guys.
According to the printed out library cover there.
It's,
2003.
It's the library. Hey, they exist and they got stuff. They got books.
It's a nice resource. Yeah,
I like it.
Check them out. Free
Apparently,
internet.
they told me they do like a streaming service now, too.
Really?
Like you can stream stuff on the libraries.
Do they have original content?
I hope so.
Or is it the library making shows?
Los Angeles Library. Original. No, but I'm excited. This made me go back to the library for the first time in a while. I'm going to start using it more.
Nice.
Yeah. It smelled like urine in certain sections of it for some reason.
The bathroom?
One I went to. No, the whole...
Oh, the actual...
Like the
library.
entryway.
Okay.
Anyways, enough about urine. So Jesse, one of our Twitter followers, was saying how this is some sort of sorcery you've played on me because you got to choose this week as well as... When was the last one you chose?
I think 6 Underground.
Yeah.
I chose also.
So apparently our fans have caught on to the fact that I may steer the suggestions here and there a little.
Listen.
Like maybe 162 out of 165.
I'm running this shit now. I want you all to know that. I've taken over. There's been...
And Stomp the Yard is next up.
Look at me. I am the captain now.
I am the captain now. I am the captain. So I had never seen this movie.
Yeah.
I'm always down for some Denzel. He's always awesome. And especially this, like, when he started doing these kind of movies, like action suspense thrillers and just embracing his badassdom, like I feel like I remember first noticing him as an action star in Virtuosity. We've covered that on here. Do you remember that? You weren't here. No, I'm sorry. I'm bringing up my ex-co-hosts.
How dare you?
But have you seen that one?
I covered Virtuosity just with my friends on a different thing. So
just at home on the couch, we watched it and talked
don't
about
worry
it.
about it. You wouldn't know about it.
Have you seen it?
No, I haven't.
Oh, dude, it's good.
Yeah.
He plays an ex-con. Well, he's a current convict, and he was framed for murder or something, and there's this serial killer they've made, Sid 6.0 or something, played by Russell Crowe. It was his first American film.
Nice.
Where he's a virtual reality serial killer composite of like hundreds of serial killers in real life.
I'm already in.
And he breaks out of the virtual reality world and he has to hunt down, Denzel Washington has to hunt down Russell Crowe in the real world. And whenever he gets shot up, he bleeds blue. And then if he eats glass, he regenerates.
What?
It's incredible. You need to watch this.
I'm going to.
Maybe we'll do it again on the show because it's that good.
Yeah.
Anyways, that was like late 90s and I was like, oh, Denzel's so awesome. And he just continued Training Day, everything. I forget if this was pre or post Training Day. I think it was post.
I think so too.
Anyways, I had a blast with this movie. I'll get into more specifics when we talk about it, but I knew nothing about it. I knew he was wearing a Hawaiian shirt and holding a gun and shades.
Yeah.
It looked very similar to the cover of Man on Fire.
It's kind of what the movie's about.
Yeah, it's just sunglasses, shades, and Hawaiian shirt.
It's a vibe more than it is a plot.
But this movie felt like a new kind of jazzy noir.
Yeah.
Like like the femme fatale, the sheriff instead of a private eye, and just like him constantly trying to cover his tracks and get out of this situation had me on the edge of my seat from like minute 30 on, because the first act is a lot of setup, but then it's boom for the last hour.
It's a very weird, like it's almost two separate movies. There's so much stuff they have to wade through.
Yeah.
And they do it, like you were saying before we started here, in a very like melodramatic.
Yeah,
like,
it feels kind of over the top, and then you realize why, which we'll get to.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, if you haven't seen this movie, you should probably watch it before listening anymore, because the whole thing we talk about is going to be a spoiler, and the movie's more fun if you don't know what's happening.
Press pause, watch the movie, come back.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
So, Jesse, you've seen this before, and this was on your list of movies you wanted to revisit. So, how was it when you saw it versus now?
I saw it, and I remember loving it. And I remember being surprised that I loved it so much. And I think it's because of like how slowly it started.
Yeah.
And how much you have to wade through to get to sort of the meat of what's going on.
First 30 minutes, I was getting mad at you. And then I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Like you've gotten mad at me for an entire runtime of a movie several times.
Sure. When does this movie get good? Does it not? It doesn't? Okay.
Oh. That's happened a few times.
But it's like quintessential Denzel. It's like you said, his sweet spot. There were a bunch of movies that came out just sort of like right in a row. Man on Fire is one of my favorite movies of all time.
So good.
But there were a couple of less successful around the same time. John Q.
I like John Q when it came out.
Was good.
I don't remember.
Deja Vu, which is one that we talked about.
I remember it's not goodbye, it's see you later from John Q that his son says to him.
Yeah.
But I remember like all that stuff, like a desperate man trying to do the right thing and caught in a terrible situation.
Yes, and always like super charming.
Yeah.
And he probably shouldn't get out of the trouble that he's in, but does.
Yeah.
And he can carry like both sides of this. He can carry the heavy drama in the beginning. He can carry the action in the middle. He can carry all the like comedy that's like sprinkled in.
Let's just say Denzel's like one of the best for a reason. I mean, he's incredible.
He's incredible. And I don't know that this movie necessarily works.
Fix my hair behind my headphones. I just got that note. Sorry, I wanted to call it out. Is it fixed?
It's fixed.
Oh, was it just doing like this little peacock thing and driving you nuts?
You were peacocking.
But the live chat was like, I can't even watch this because Ben's hair is peacocking.
You know, I was subtly trying to look out for you, but what we're bringing it out, your hair looked bad.
You know what? That's fine.
That's sweet.
I like to call it out.
I need some affirmation here. How's my hair look, Ryan?
Fantastic.
I appreciate it so much.
Yeah, combed, unlike mine.
Untrue.
Not combed. When you saw it the first time versus now?
So loved it the first time. I don't even know how I came about it. Like I didn't see it in theaters. I didn't rent it. I think someone may have given it to me for my own personal viewing experience. I don't even think I watched it with anyone. I have maybe I like illegally downloaded it when I was in college.
You definitely didn't do that. Oh, in college it doesn't matter. Everybody illegally downloaded in college.
Yeah, but it was like I just went on a Denzel run, and this was among the Denzel movies that I watched, and then I never saw it again. And I just remember loving it, and it's been on my radar for probably the last year and a half of something that's like an itch that I haven't been able to scratch. Like I really would like to watch this movie again. So I'm glad that we were able to do it, and rewatching it way holds up.
Definitely,
it's great.
I mean, I don't have any frame of reference, but it holds up on first viewing for sure.
Yeah, even like it was coming back to me as I was watching it because I didn't really remember too much about it. I remembered like the tension, and I remembered like Evil Dean Cain.
Evil Dean Cain, Bizarro Superman.
Yeah,
it's Bizarro Superman in this.
So it was all sort of coming back to me as I watched it. But even knowing what was going on, and even like, so we'll start the spoilers now, I guess.
Yeah.
Even when Sanaa Lathan goes into the doctor's office on his day off.
Yeah.
And they get the bad news. That was like the first trigger in my mind where I was like, I think I remember that this is fake.
See, I didn't even catch that they said on his day off.
Yeah.
And yeah.
But even like with all that information, I still loved it.
That's awesome.
Going through it the second time. Yeah.
It's so fun to watch him try and get out of these situations. So let's just get into this, man.
Yeah.
Let's get into this. We're gonna do the plot in under 3 minutes. You ready in the booth?
I am ready. You know what? I am ready. Nice. We're gonna count you in.
Wait.
7, 6, 5, 4.
Jesse, you start
3,
us off.
Oh boy.
2, 1.
All right, so Denzel Washington is the chief of police in a small town in Florida, a suburb of Miami. He gets called into Sanaa Lathan's house. She makes us believe that there's like an intruder, but it turns out it's just a sexy game they're playing.
Yeah.
But then he gets called off to work. We find out that he made a big bust a couple of weeks ago, and he's got all this money and drugs from the cartel, I guess, and he's holding it in his office. Dean Cain is an adversary. He comes in and
he's
they
supposedly
throw barbs at each other.
He's supposedly the abusive husband or boyfriend to Sanaa Lathan's character.
Yes. Yeah.
And Eva Mendes is the ex-wife. Eva Mendes.
The soon-to-be ex-wife. They're separated, not divorced. So Dean Cain goes out of town. Sanaa Lathan is with Denzel Washington. She goes into the doctor. The doctor tells her, "You're dying of cancer." She's like,
I don't even know if they say what kind. It's an oncologist of some sort.
They said it spread to like your liver and your lungs, I think is what they said. They give her 6 months to live. She's resigned to the fact that she's going to die. And Denzel's like, "No, we can fight this. There's treatment." And she's like, "All right, well, we need money. I don't have money."
Yeah. And then after that, so she has him she signs over her life insurance policy to him. And there's this big thing where they were thinking, oh, if we sell this off to a broker firm or whatever, that then she'll get at least $750,000 because they're going to try and get to Switzerland to do this experimental treatment stuff. Long story short, it builds up to Denzel being desperate because he wants to help her. He loves her, and giving her the cartel money from the police locker and telling her he'll meet her at her house at 11:30. He goes there at 11:30. The house is on fire.
Yeah.
The next morning, they've put it all out. There's a propane tank. It's clear it was arson. There's 2 dead bodies in there. But before that, we see Dean Cain at the morgue looking at a dead body, which I thought was going to be the neighbor that Denzel said he saw walking around or whatever.
Yeah.
Anyways, and then Denzel's now realizing he's screwed. The money's either burned up or somebody stole it.
1 minute.
And the DEA needs it back. So the DEA calls him and they're like, "We need the money back." The neighbor had seen him at the scene.
And Eva Mendes is a detective who's come in, his soon-to-be ex, because it's now a homicide.
Yep. So
the neighbor saw him the night before.
The neighbor comes in, draws the picture of him, or gets the drawing done, and she's like, "It's him." And then turns out she's racist and just points at every black guy. And so that's how he escapes that one. And then
Mom, you embarrassed me.
They're looking for the phone records, and he edits the phone records on the computer and then resends the fax, and they find a number that's his number, and he turns his phone off, and so they're calling, and
crazy.
they can't find out who it is. And then he finds out the other person involved. He goes to the hospital and he finds out that the other person's involved. He tracks that person down, goes to the hotel. There's a big fight. The guy falls out of the hotel, and then he's running around the hotel. They're after him.
He finds out that she's still alive, and she says, "He's beating me. You got to come here."
Yep.
He goes, takes him, gets in a fight with Dean Cain. Turns out she screwed him over too.
1.
They all get shot. Eva Mendes saves him. Boom! Yay! We'll make sense out of it. We'll make sense out of it. Hey, we ran out of time.
Hey, we, like the movie, spent a lot of time
on the first
act.
And you know what? Here's the thing. So I will say the first act, and it's intentional when you watch the rest of the movie, but because I thought I was coming into like this thriller, which it is, the first 30 minutes is a little rough to get through because you don't know you're like, because I'd never seen a trailer or anything, I was just like, holy shit, this is super heavy for like an action thriller.
Yeah.
She's got 6 months to live. He's trying to get her this experimental treatment. I'm like, is this just John Q all over again? Because John Q, his son, needed some kind of treatment. And I was like, whew, I don't know where this is going. But I liked him, and I liked her, and I liked Eva Mendes' character, and Dean Cain was actually great as a bad guy.
It's kind of funny.
I thought he was fun. Like that whole scene where he comes to the bar, and Dean Cain's like, hey, man, if my wife,
we actually,
I don't know what sound clips you have. You're gonna have to help me.
So we can backtrack for the first 2, but let's start on number 3 since Ben was about to give us that scene.
Yeah, it's just the bar scene between Dean Cain and Denzel.
When you think of it, he kind of looked like you.
Looked like me.
Oh wait,
So he was good looking.
Just kidding.
No, number 3.
You know, I could almost respect a man who has the balls to confront me. Tell me, yeah, I'm banging your wife. Maybe this guy, maybe there's nothing he would rather do than,
So good.
to tell you that you're a lousy husband and that you don't deserve it. And maybe there's nothing he would rather do than to walk up in your face, look you right in the eye, and say to you, Chris, I'm banging your wife. Good. Maybe, maybe maybe your wife won't let him. I'd respect him at least.
That scene's so good.
It's great.
It's so good. And you think that, and then he says, he threatens, he's like, I would kill that person, you know, if I found out who they were.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, I'm the chief of police. You can't go doing that. And I thought he was going to arrest him right there. And it's such a good sequence between the two of them. And the scene in the beginning where there's like the sexy cop like reenactment hookup is pretty hot for a PG-13 movie.
Yeah,
I was
sure
like,
is.
Damn. All right. I was like, my wife always is like, where's the good sex scenes anymore in movies, you know? And I was like, well, she should have stayed up and watched this.
I'm telling you, they don't show anything.
They don't, but it's steamy.
It's sultry, man.
Yeah.
There's
some sultriness.
smooth jazz in the back.
I would say this movie is a sultry thriller.
It's very humid.
It's got all that like the jazz saxophones.
Yeah, there's thick air all the way through it.
Yeah. But yet everyone isn't insanely perspiring like every 90s and 80s action movie where they're all just like sweaty as shit.
It's because they all have very absorbent shirts.
And they're not
good.
on multiple steroids.
Yeah.
What was clip number 1?
Clip number 1 is actually exactly what you're talking about, where he goes over and he's trying to get a description of the quote.
When you think of it, it kind of looked like you.
Looked like me. So he was good looking.
Yeah.
Classic Denzel.
Classic Denzel. Looked like me. So he's good looking. And she goes, or something like that.
Yeah, sure. No.
Yeah. See, there's some fun banter. I thought I caught this, but I maybe I forgot because I watched it a little late last night. He says later on they were high school sweethearts.
He does, yeah. There's a bit when they're on the pier when he's fishing, and he says something about, or she says like, I thought I was the coolest person being a freshman making out with a senior.
Yes, that's right.
So they had
like
a
they hooked
thing
up and had a thing, and
in
then
high school,
kind of like friends from college minus Keegan-Michael Key and Kobe Smulders.
Yes.
And okay. It's just like Friends from College.
It's exactly the same.
This movie is Friends from College.
It's basically that.
It's basically the same.
Yes.
But like I said, this first half hour is a little heavy to get through and it feels super melodramatic. It feels very just on the nose. And then you realize this whole thing is an act and this whole thing's a scam to get this drug money out of the police locker to her. And then you're like, oh, now all of that makes sense, why it's so heavy-handed.
So when did you realize that? Because knowing it the whole time, I wasn't sure. Because even when the house burns down...
To be honest, until they show Dean Cain like an hour into the movie, and he's like, don't worry, she'll keep her mouth shut, and they introduce Cabot in the hotel room, that was when I was like, okay, I at least know that she's still alive. Because in my head, this movie just keeps you guessing. I was like, maybe he, because they set him up as an abusive husband.
Yes.
So I was like, maybe he found out about it and made her do this, and then killed her and another person, and then ran off with the money. Especially if he had just found out that they were having an affair, because they built her up so much to be in love with Denzel.
Yeah.
And like their romance so much that I was like, well, I don't think she's to blame for this. And then the whole fake doctor thing, that entire sequence with the other doctor, and you now realizing why they specifically showed the pen in that shot with the first doctor.
Right.
There's a shot in the scene where they go to the fake oncologist, which you don't know at the time. You think it's a real one. And he's telling her she has 6 months to live. And they very specifically show him place a pen back on the desk.
Yeah.
And I was like, what's that for? And then it pays off later because Denzel goes in to find the doctor, and it's this old dude, and it's not the same guy at all, but it's the real doctor.
Yeah.
And that's when he realizes he's been played. And I think that's when I started to realize, oh, God, I've been fooled by this movie the entire time.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's really smart. I kept trying to find ways that it was like being cheesy or cheating. And like the only thing I can think is like when the fax is coming in and he's like, oh, hold on, and this is just for me. But that happens in police stations, you know, like people would believe the chief of police. There's so much suspension of disbelief because of course you would believe the chief of police. Of course you would.
And it's a small town where nothing really ever happens.
Yeah. I feel like I'm jumping around so much. People are like, what are you talking about? Facts and doctors and this.
You are. Should we go through it?
Let's go through it.
Step by step.
What's this second clip?
Let's find out.
Let's play it. Clip.
I would invite you, Chris, but I don't want to.
So he's at the diner, and he's sitting by himself reading the newspaper, admiring his picture. And Dean Cain comes by and he says, you sitting with all your friends?
It's so good. But see, that's also like him looking at that, and then Dean Cain showing up is a plant, is a foreshadowing that like you don't see that coming the first time around. You don't connect the dots.
No.
And
They do a really good job of laying the entire foundation step by step.
Yeah, and really, even though the first half hour seems a little like a slog to get through, at least it all pays off. And from I clocked it. I think it was like 35 minutes in onward. You're just like, you're in it with Denzel.
Yeah.
And so I can hang for a slow first act if it sticks the landing, and the rest of it's great. And I kept worrying by act 3 that it wasn't going to stick the landing. And I think it really does.
It does. And what I was telling you before we started, and if you guys can think of any, please let us know. I was saying that like the cop being set up for the crime is sort of like a played out trope at this point, but no one knowing that he's being set up, except for him, and him trying to outrun the setup is something I don't think that I've seen in another movie, and it makes for incredible tension and a really, really fun ride through the last hour of the movie.
You're right. Instead of the normal like, oh, there he is, go get Denzel, or Michael, I forget what his name is in the movie, Matt something.
Matthias,
you look at me so confused. You're like, Michael?
It's like Michael. I don't know.
Michael. No, but that's the thing, though. You're watching, if it was just them chasing him the whole movie, it'd be boring. But the fact that he has to keep covering his tracks, and they keep finding new ways to have these super intense moments, it's really awesome. And his partner, his medical examiner buddy, is so funny.
Just a blast.
That guy, like, I gotta look up what else he's done, because he was hysterical in this. But he had a delivery of like a stand-up comedian or something. He was great. He had kind of this hilarious, weird, stilted delivery that I loved.
And he was actually, I think he was a really interesting counterbalance to the movie.
Oh, John Billingsley. Oh, yeah, he's been in a ton of stuff.
There you go. Yeah. Seasoned professional.
Like Roland Emmerich's 2012.
Okay, the minds were right.
So a lot of TV.
Yeah, he was, I thought, a really interesting counterbalance to where the movie was, because in the beginning, when the movie is more melodramatic and soapy, he is more goofy and jokey.
His credits are 160 plus. So
there you go.
He's clearly doing well.
And then as the movie gets more action and poppy, he becomes more dramatic in his role and delivery.
Yeah.
So it was a nice sort of like balance of the scales to what the rest of the movie was doing.
But he still brings levity to it, even in the most intense scenes, but they pull back so that he doesn't become like the jokey sidekick.
He had a much quieter performance in the second half of the movie. At the beginning, he's very like big and outlandish.
Yeah, but he seems like he genuinely wants to help his buddy out, because I think you can tell he believes that that Denzel is a good person.
Yes.
And that for however this happened, why this happened, it's for good reasons.
And this they also do a good job of setting up, because he comes in and his introduction in the movie is him coming in and being like, hey, that money in your safe, why don't we skim some off the top and get out of here, buy a boat, go to Costa Rica? And Denzel says, no, absolutely not. And so that sets up that trust as well of like, I put you in a position where we could have gotten away with this.
I think he would have. The medical examiner dude totally
most
would've.
Definitely.
Yeah. I'm going to find out his name so we don't keep calling him medical.
It's like Shay, I think.
Shay, Shay.
So he's basically saying like, we should do this thing, and Denzel has too much integrity to do it. So he like, that gives us insight into their relationship and that dynamic of like, I know that you wouldn't do this. There must be a good explanation for it, and I'm going to follow you until we find that explanation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this next clip is something about happily married. I forget where this comes in.
So this is so we know that Eva Mendes is working the case, and they're working together, and it's awkward because they're in the middle of getting a divorce.
Yeah.
And so Eva Mendes is just trying to figure out the relationship that they had. And so she's wondering, this house burned down, are either one of them having an extramarital affair? And Denzel says this.
Oh, is anybody happily married these days?
I feel like that could be an Al Bundy quote from Married with Children.
Sure.
Hey, Peg, is anybody happily married these days? That was a weird
Was
Al
that
Bundy
your
impression.
Denzel? No?
Or Ed Bundy. No, Al Bundy.
Al Bundy.
Ed Bundy is one letter away from Ted Bundy. You're right. Al Bundy. That's a really bad Al Bundy impression. Hey, Peg, has anybody?
It's bad enough to do again, I guess.
Just trying to bring some levity, guys.
That was awful. Do you guys want to hear it again?
Okay, I have to tell a quick side story because it just made me think about it.
Please.
So my daughter's 3 years old, and she goes to preschool, and she's gotten in, kids talk like poo-poo, fart, duty head, stuff like that. She has this fake prop phone that I have. It's like a flip phone, and she pretends to play games on it. And she's like, Daddy, you want to play a game this morning? It has nothing to do with anything we're talking about. I just think it's funny.
Nice.
It made me think of it. She's like, Daddy, you want to play a game on this? And she hands it to me, and I go, oh, what game am I playing? And she goes, she says, the game is called American Booty Butt Mustache.
Oh, I played that game.
And I have no idea how those 4 words, but especially like, I wonder if there's a European booty butt mustache.
I mean, there definitely is.
I mean,
it's not as good as the American version.
I mean, yeah.
The American version is the original version.
The original. Everything else is a ripoff.
Yeah. Booty butt mustache.
So then I had to play this fake game, trying to piece together what it meant. And
Did you beat it?
I just made fart noises, and then I went, gotta weed through the mustache. And then I was like, America. I just like tried to make up something. So I was trying to yes and my daughter's ridiculous suggestion.
And was she on board with what you were doing?
She was.
She was like, that is how you play.
I mean, when you
Correct.
when you start it with American Booty Butt Mustache, you just you gotta be on board. I'm gonna choke to death. Sorry, I had to share that. I thought that was hilarious.
What if you choked to death and the last thing you talked about was American Booty Butt Mustache? That would be such a shame. You've talked about so many important things in your life.
You're killing me. So many important things. How did he go? His last words were American Booty Butt Mustache.
Talking about the classic phone game, American Booty Butt Mustache.
Oh my God, I haven't laughed that hard since hearing American Booty Butt Mustache this morning. All right. Anyways, now that that's going to be a trending hashtag for all 12 of our listeners, where were we?
Great question. We had just
my bad Al Bundy impression
because Eva Mendes was running the investigation.
She is unbelievably gorgeous in this movie and in every movie.
Also, I assume in real life.
She's awesome. I love Eva Mendes. I know that she's married to Ryan Gosling and they have kids, and so she's kind of taken a step back from acting to be more active as a parent. I'm hoping she comes back because she's so good in this movie, and she's incredible and fantastic. I was just like, oh my God, she's so beautiful.
She's great.
And she's tough and badass.
She really talk about, like I've said it a few times already, people walking a really fine line, but she walks that line of like charmed but frustrated, loving and hating. Like it's a really interesting.
Denzel's a hard dancing partner as an actor, and she is up to the task with him. She goes toe to toe with him, and it's great.
And she also like takes some time when he leaves frame. Like there were a couple of scenes that they're in together, and he leaves frame. And she like breaks a little bit, which I thought was a really fun choice. I thought she was great in it.
I think she's fantastic in this. This is 10 seconds. I know this part. So the DEA calls, and there's this awesome banter back and forth between Denzel's character and the DEA, where he's just the DEA is a prick to him at first, and then he pays him back a few times, and those are always such fun sequences. Let's play clip number 5.
It's been 10 seconds.
Out of context, you don't know what that means.
I cut it short.
But it's been 10 seconds. That's I feel like that's every time I call my cell phone company and I ask them for customer support. I feel like I no sooner start talking to them and then they are like, well, I got to transfer you to another department. And I'm like, why? And they're like,
it's been 10 seconds.
Apparently they're paid by the second. So
yeah.
I don't know what it is.
Well, when you came into the studio today, I was like, I'm ready to go, Ben. Let's do this podcast. And you were, for some reason, on your phone. It looked like maybe playing some sort of game. And you were like, just give me 10 seconds. I'm about to beat American Booty Butt Mustache. And I was like, what the hell is that? And then 20 seconds later, I was like,
it's been 10 seconds.
I gave you extra time, Ben. I was like, let's just go, man. And you're like, no, I gotta beat this level, and then I can save the level.
My legacy is going to be American booty butt mustache.
It's, you know.
Oh, I can't stop laughing.
It's been 10 seconds.
All right, I'm sorry. Okay. So, so as soon as the house burns down and Denzel realizes he's screwed, and at this point, we as an audience, and he as the protagonist, think that the woman he was having an affair with and Dean Cain have been burned alive, and it may have been arson. Maybe it's the crime, the cartel or whoever the drugs were, the drug money was taken from. Maybe they found out. We don't know. All we know is that he just got the life insurance policy. She just got it changed to be put into his name.
Yeah.
So he's going to get $1 million now that she's dead.
Yep.
So we're waiting for that call to come in.
Yep.
And he's scrambling already from the beginning. Then, and Eva Mendes is a great detective. That's another thing I really like what they did with her. They never made her dumb. They always gave her a reason why you couldn't get the next bit of information. Like, oh, we got to call the insurance company, and the person who's handling the case is out to lunch, and it's all like believable real world things.
They were processing the new beneficiary because she had just made the change.
Yeah.
And
so they had to forward it to a different department or something and had to get a hold of them, and they were out to lunch. So then he dodges that bullet for a moment. And then it's, we got the phone records back from the deceased, and he realizes his phone's going to be in there.
Yep.
And so he goes to the fax machine, grabs it, pretends that he's getting a fax, takes the paper out with it, which is so smart. So that then they're trying to refill the paper. They're yelling at the person that just sent the fax. They're saying, send it again. There's no paper. They're all freaking out. Meanwhile, it's the most intense. I haven't seen intense typing like this since The Social Network, where it's like he's typing, he's deleting, he scans it into his computer, and he does Photoshop, because apparently the sheriff of this small town is also decent at Photoshop.
Kind of a whiz. I don't know.
He's pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how he did it, but it comes out all wobbly.
Sure.
And so that's why I say decent. But
Sure.
he blames the toner on that.
Which I would too.
Yeah.
If I were him.
But then he gets it just in time, and he then unplugs the modem so that he can stop it, plugs it back in, and subtly presses cancel to cancel the first fax, so his fax comes through.
Yes.
It's brilliant. Like, that's stuff like that that's like super awesome and believable. And it never jumps the shark in this movie.
Yeah, so let's talk very quickly about all the times that he's almost caught.
That's
right?
the first one.
So, well, actually, the first one is the
neighbor.
The eyewitness neighbor. And then we have the flowers that he sent her to her office, and he makes a fake phone call to the flower shop.
And right as he's about to hang up, it goes, if you'd like to make a call.
Yes.
And he hangs up before anybody hears that.
Yep.
Which I thought Eva Mendes heard it, but she didn't.
She did not. The insurance
neighbor is
policy,
hysterical. We talked about that a little bit.
Yeah, so the neighbor comes in, and they basically draw his face.
Yeah.
And then he walks in. She's an elderly woman.
An elderly white woman, we should say.
Yes. He walks in, and she IDs him right away. He looked like that guy.
And he's
deer in headlights.
Great look of panic, but trying to be cool.
Yeah. And he's like, well, what? And
then
everyone laughs. Everyone laughs. That's the chief of police. Another black guy walks by, and she goes, actually, it looks like that guy.
And then they do the hat trick, and another one walks by, and she goes, or maybe it's him. And then the daughter's like, Mom, you're so embarrassing.
Yes. So
good.
So the facts, the neighbor, the flowers, the insurance policy, and then when he gets to the hotel, the front desk guy, he tells, I'm Cabot. I'm the guy who Denzel was looking for. And then that guy would have been able to ID him as well, and he somehow escapes him as well.
Well, because in the hotel is one of my favorite sequences. So basically we find out that, so they go to the hospital, and he goes upstairs, or no, they go to the hospital to meet her doctor, and her doctor's a woman.
Yep.
And he's like, this doesn't make any sense. So
and the doctor says, she's clean as a whistle. She doesn't have cancer.
She has nothing. Yeah. So this is where I'm like, I have no idea what's happening now.
Yes.
So he goes up to the floor that the other doctor he met with her was at, and it's, like I said, this older white dude, and it's this great sequence where he's like, are you this doc? Are you the guy? And he's like, yes, that's me. He's like, are you sure? And the guy's like, I'm sure. I've been a doctor for 10 years. This is me. And then he sees the pen, and in this really funny sequence, he's like, can I have that pen? Is it, man, and he's like, yeah, take the pen. Just take the pen. It's such a great moment of like this dude being genuinely terrified, but also like completely weirded out by this scenario.
Yeah, and I will also say, like, Denzel's character does an incredible job in moments of panic of remembering when to identify himself as a police officer and when to not.
Yeah.
Because if he had busted into that doctor's office and the doctor was clearly freaked out, he could have made him feel calm right away by just saying, I'm a police officer.
No, but that's another person he has to then
But
dodge
that's
later.
someone who can then ID him. So he's very like conscious about who he tells what to.
So he inevitably, he ends up putting the pieces together that the guy... His name's Cabot, and I forget how they tied together. There was something that connected him to Cabot, and I'm forgetting it.
So it was just the prints on the...
the prints.
The prints on the pen.
And he yells at his kind of dopey deputy dude
Yeah.
to go run him in Miami because he doesn't want it in-house, and he says they're going to mess it up. And he finds out that it's this guy named Cabot. He's staying at this hotel. He tracks him down to the hotel, and that's my favorite sequence in the entire movie.
Yes.
So like you said, he goes up to the front desk. He tells him he's Cabot, the man staying here. And that was one part where I was like, well, I guess it's early 2000s. Hotels were a little laxed and it's a small town, so I can buy it. Where he like just gives him another card with no ID. But
if you get the name and room number right.
Yeah.
Like
I'm sure that happens now.
I'm sure it does.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is a little disconcerting.
Yeah.
So he goes up there, he hears the TV on, there's a confrontation, they beat the hell out of each other, smash through the sliding glass door and over the railing, and the railing breaks off.
Like almost immediately.
Yeah.
I'm like bracing myself for this big fight that's about to happen.
Yeah.
And it happens almost instantaneously where he pushes him out the door and they both nearly fall over the railing.
Which I kind of like because I feel like that's more realistic.
Yeah, that's what would have happened.
Yeah. Like even though I love action movies and I love long drawn out fights, for this movie, that would have felt out of character and out of the tone we're in.
Yeah. It would have happened except for the part that Denzel is able to climb back up the hanging guardrail onto the, I don't know.
But it's still hanging. I felt like, that's still.
I mean, once it falls and he's just hanging on the balcony, that's when
you get that mama bear strength. No, that's when you get that fight or flight. And he fought, bro.
I guess.
He fought. He pulled, and that's another point where just when somebody's about to ID him, he climbs up and they can't see his face.
Yep.
And then he comes back down, and the cops are there. Eva Mendes is there. They're like, "That's Cabot there." Eva Mendes and her partner go chasing after him because the front desk guy recognizes Denzel, who's Cabot.
Yep.
And he goes chasing after him. He runs up the steps because he now has the money. That's right. He has the briefcase of money that he got from Cabot in the hotel room. He runs down the stairs. He hides the briefcase because he realizes Eva Mendes is going to catch him. He's cornered. He goes back up and he's like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! I pulled in after you." And then he goes down, hides the briefcase again in the trash can. It's like so many intricate things that make sense that he's brilliant at getting out of this.
Yeah. He's able to think on his feet so well.
I want a sequel of this.
He punches the front desk guy because he's about to ID him again.
Yeah.
Which sends him to the hospital and delays him coming to the police station.
Yeah.
We did forget to mention also one of the things that he's almost caught by is his phone number, his brand new phone number is on the call log. And they try and call it, and he silences his phone and then deletes his voicemail, pretends he's making a call. So Eva Mendes is like, whose phone number is this? And the medical examiner sees him do it and knows it's his phone number. So he steps up and says, "It was me. I called Dean Cain last night." And this is his explanation for it, number 6.
He's like my, bottom of the list guy when you got to have somebody to drink with.
It's sad.
I have a friend that always says that he's my bottom of the list guy. And I'm like, that's so not true.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, wait, am I your bottom of the list guy? And that's why you keep joking about that?
Hey, man, let me see your list.
Let me see your list. Let me see your list.
Yeah. I want to see the full thing.
That's like my bottom of the list of movies that are out right now. And Cats was at the very bottom until we decided to do it as a podcast.
Yeah, we sure did.
Now I got to catch up on actual good movies.
It was the Jellicle choice.
It was the Jellicle choice because Jellicles do. Jellicles choose the podcast for you.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Real quick, we are having a bit of a game in the live chat right now, just listing Denzel movies, and I honestly think we listed every single one.
I mean, and I dare you to find a single Denzel movie where he isn't at least incredible in it, or at least good.
Yeah.
He never is the weak point of a movie. He may have had a few misses, but there's rarely. I've never seen a performance by Denzel where I was like, "Well, that sucked."
Did you guys say Fences?
Fences is on there. Shout out to Eddie Costa, Crazy Nut 56.
Nice.
And King's Portal.
What's the most obscure one somebody mentioned?
We just had someone go Glory, which I was like, oh yeah, he's
that's
in
not
Glory.
Oh, that's not obscure.
That's fantastic.
That was young Denzel.
The single tear? That
tear.
single tear moment kills me. Oh, God. It's so good.
Yeah, but I mean, John Q, as we talked earlier.
Hurricane?
Crimson Tide.
Oh, Hurricane's so good.
Hurricane.
Crimson Tide's fantastic. What if the rest of the show is just us going, how fantastic is every Denzel Washington movie? I almost said every John Q movie. You know, they made a series. Surprised they haven't. What's the case against Denzel?
So this is Denzel talking about all the evidence against him.
Okay.
Are you out of your mind? I'm not telling Alex. I mean, look what they got on me. Motive. Anne Marie names me beneficiary on her insurance policy, and I was having an affair with her. Opportunity, an eyewitness saw me outside their house the night it blew up.
He's screwed.
Want to hear some more?
Yep.
Alibi?
Home by myself.
Brutal.
See? So you're like, the whole movie, I'm like, how is he going to get out of this?
Yeah.
And even though he's really good at getting out of things, I'm still never sure he's going to.
Yeah.
And, man, so you then find out right before we meet Cabot that he called Dean Cain and Dean Cain is alive. And you hear about his wife, but she's off camera. So you don't know where she is. You don't know. And they do that, I assume, intentionally. So you don't know if he's like has her tied up or.
Yeah.
So at that point, I was like, I don't know if she's still the victim here. And they brilliantly then, he has the money now. So Dean Cain and the wife realize they're screwed. So she calls him crying in a very believable thing. And they never like show her hang up and like nod to Dean Cain or anything. They just show it through Denzel's point of view where like he's like, oh shit, she needs help, so I'm gonna go.
They do the opposite. He says to her, is he there with you?
Yeah.
Because he's trying to like calm her down and say everything's going to be okay.
Yeah.
And he's like, is he there with you? And she's like talking in code basically.
Yeah.
Where she's like, and doesn't say, yeah, he's right here.
Yeah. So it makes you think, oh, she's
a hostage.
Yeah, she's a hostage. So he goes there. Dean Cain's waiting with a gun. There's this awesome throwdown between the two of them, which my favorite moment is when Dean Cain tries to get... I love that I can't say anything but Dean Cain. When he tries to go up the ladder and Denzel drags him and the ladder just breaks apart and he falls on his face. And again, this is a pretty quick dust up. And then Dean Cain runs in and he's like, give me the gun. And she shoots him and we think it's an accident. And at first I was like, that's going to suck if this is how the movie ends.
Yeah.
And then what does she do?
She makes the turn.
Yeah.
He says...
I was so surprised by that.
Denzel is like, wait a minute, but he hit you. What about your face? And she says to him, number 8.
What, you think Chris did this to my face?
And then they show her, of all things...
slamming her face on a desk,
I think.
Yeah.
I'm like, I think you could have just taken like...
Honestly, anything.
Yeah. Like they show a shot of her just go, all right, I'm ready.
She had actually just like dropped her toothbrush. She was like,
and then she's like, well, here, we can use this.
Yeah, I'm going for it 100%. I'm not gonna subtly grab my toothbrush.
Do we have a couple more minutes, Ryan?
We gotta wrap up pretty quickly.
Well, too bad. No, I will. Okay, what's clip number 9?
Then she's just like walking towards him with the gun.
Her.
Yeah, she's saying, give me the money, and he's walking backwards, and he says,
Don't shoot me, okay?
Yeah, and at this point we're like, she grazes his face, so you know she's serious. Then she shoots him in the leg, and it's getting brutal. And she's saying, "I can't live in poverty. I can't do this." So they're justifying her without giving you such a long, lengthy speech where it's like, you know, when we were together, blah blah blah. I'm glad they didn't do that.
No,
I'm glad they kept it simple.
Of all the melodrama in the beginning, they kept it tight at the end.
Yeah. And then right when you think she's gonna shoot him, boom! Eva Mendes saves the day. She swoops in with the Deus Ex Machina moment, and we find out why. Because the briefcase. I thought, well, sure, she's still going to open it and there's money inside.
Yep. Nope.
No.
He replaced the money with the GPS tracking device.
It's so good.
Yeah.
They stuck the landing.
Yeah, and then the medical examiner comes in
sticking the landing
with the bag of money as Denzel said, he sent a guy to the DEA and he comes in and he's like, yeah, it's perfect.
How you tie up every loose
It's beautiful.
thread.
Yes, indeed.
And the moral of the story, I believe, can be summed up in our final clip.
Just never leave your wife. That's what happened to me.
Yeah, if he had never left Eva Mendes, he would have never been in this situation.
There you
go.
go.
Hey, just remember, stick it out through the tough times. Otherwise, you could be out of time.
Hey.
Jesse, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Too Much Jesse, and for Sketch at The Prom Loser.
You can find me at the Ben Begley on Twitter and Instagram and at Real Parent Reviews. It's REEL Parent Reviews. My wife and I are going to start rolling out some movie reviews here shortly for parents and just people alike. And keep these suggestions coming. Jesse's going to be hosting the next couple weeks. I'll be out. So send some suggestions his way. And
we're going to be out of time 2 more weeks.
We're going to be out of time. Yeah, there we go. And caps again.
Yeah.
Until next time, what is your guilty movie pleasure?
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Popcorn Talk Network or its own